On today's episode of RPG Book Club, I think I get a waifu or something? I don't know.
Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little chunk of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I am Sam Allman.
And I am Michael Levin.
Today, unfortunately, Mike Rizzo isn't here. He's just under the weather, so he can't speak. But he's caught up, so full steam ahead. Today, today we're going to be playing Rogue Galaxy from the beginning of Chapter 6, the guide to the end of Chapter 7, Volkog's Ambition. So before we get started, how is everyone?
I am doing really good. We got approved for our apartment. I think I said that last week, but like we have like all the lease signed and everything ready. So like we're in packing mode and everything is exciting to get out of this place, which is beautiful.
That's wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah, I as I mentioned last time, I did finally get a job. It's a little slow going for now. All I've had is like 2 meetings to like sign papers and stuff, and I haven't gotten like hours yet, but it's gonna happen, and that's nice. And so life is hard as usual, but yeah, it's cool. It's
well
cool.
done. And my birthday's on Monday. I'm
awesome.
Yeah, I'm old, and I share my birthday with Memorial Day, which is a bit of a downer, but whatever. I'm kind of. Oh, so go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say you're getting your thunder stolen by the troops.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I don't know. I'm kind of like a mild goth, so it's kind of like yeah, I get to share my birthday with death, and it's kind of like the circle of life and that sort of thing.
I think you're basically an honorary troop actually because of that.
Is that a bank holiday? Is work giving you double your money on your birthday?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I get extra money for being there on my birthday this year, which is awesome. Especially since they ran out of vacation allotments. But yeah, tonight we're gonna go have all-you-can-eat sushi, and I'm super, super excited about it. Oh, and then tomorrow Ken's taking me to see Deadpool 2.
Nice.
So I'm really happy.
So
yes.
when you go and get sushi, are you then going to realize that the dark hour isn't over and you still have another month of the game to play through?
Oh God!
Never ever celebrate after defeating an evil monster, but before credits roll. It's never gonna go well.
You just wait for the credits. Just sit there, like pull out your phone, just like text somebody, be like, "Yeah, I killed death" or whatever. But I'm waiting for the credits.
If you throw a big party, you're gonna jinx it.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Exactly.
Speaking of JRPG tropes like that, Essie in the Discord asked earlier, she's like, what if at the end of like disc 1 where you accomplish whatever goal you were like, oh, we need to take Colette to the sanctuary or whatever, and you're like, okay, I'll do that, and then you get there, but then of course the big evil is there that's trying to do something. You're like, yeah, I said I was going to take the Colette to the sanctuary, and I did that, so peace, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go home and like eat.
I did it. It's been accomplished.
Oh my god,
we're done.
That totally happens in a Dragon Quest game. I won't say which ones in case you end up playing one, but you defeat the big bad, and then it's like there's an even bigger bad, but he's like terrorizing a place that's like not here. Like he's so like, I'm gonna go on an adventure to this new world and save them too, and that'd be the perfect moment for the hero to just be like, no, someone else can do that. I already beat the big bad who was terrorizing this kingdom. Why should I go to another kingdom? Let them deal with it.
Don't they have their own adventurers who can solve their own problems?
Right. They can have some other descendant of Erdrick take on this thing. I'm done.
Yeah. My job is over.
But other than that, let's get started. We before we do get started though, because chapter 6 is a big old doozy, and there will probably be a point where we realize we're talking crap about one of these particular boss fights for too long, and we need to wrap it up, and I don't want to run out of time at the end. So today is the day that we announce the next 2 games that people get a vote on.
Woohoo!
Yeah, boy.
And and I'm excited for it. Eli, so because you guys don't even know us yet. I mean, if you've been hanging out on the Discord, all of us have talked pretty much incessantly for the past two or 3 months. But
right.
So you guys don't really know us, so we want to introduce ourselves more than just be like, hey, I'm Sam and I'm from Texas and I like video games. We want to give like a gaming biography, if you will. And so we set some rules on everybody, and then had to find we send each person out to bring 2 games for you guys to vote on for us to play next. And these games are games that are really important to us that don't seem to be important to anybody else, where like most people don't really play them. They're like the obscure thing, because like growing up, the platformer I played was not Sonic, was not Mario, was not Crash Bandicoot, was not anything like that. It was Green Dog, the beached surfer dude for the Sega Genesis.
Oh my god, I just heard about that yesterday. Yeah. I was just watching a thing about that.
Yeah, it's a hoot. But like that game, and also Tiny Toon Adventures, Buster's Hidden Treasure, like those 2 games were my 2 games that I played all the time. And if somebody came around like wearing a Green Dog shirt, I would stop them and like praise them for how great they were or something. And so I wanted to find those sorts of games, because everybody has one. Like there's somebody out there that like played Pilot Wings every single day type thing. And I want to find those games for each person. And so Eli is here to introduce his 2 RPGs that mean the world to him and nobody else has played. Take it away, Eli.
Yeah. So, as you know, my YouTube name is Sailor Eli. That's not because I swear a lot, although that is sort of related. But it's more because I am super in love with Sailor Moon and magical girl stuff. Like, I am transgender. I was born a female, and I'm not going to shy away from all the girly stuff that I loved growing up because I was a girl.
Right?
So my 2 games are both, they were both released in Japan only. We can only play them on a SNES emulator with fan translations. And they're actually pretty good fan translations. I played these pretty constantly when I was in high school. So the first one that we have it's a little better known than the second. The first one is Bishoujo Senshi Seiran Moon, Another Story. That is Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, Another Story. It is a role-playing game that takes place between the Sailor Moon S and Sailor Moon Supers story arcs in the anime, and kind of takes elements from both anime and manga. It brings in a new set of bad guys called the Opposito Soldiers, who are trying to, they're basically trying to get a hold of the Ginzui Show, the mythical silver crystal, or legendary silver crystal. Mm-hmm. It's been given like 18 different names in English. And to do that, they're like reversing time and bringing back previously defeated bad guys to fight the Sailor Guardians again. It's got really awesome music. It's got a really interesting link system where you can link up different senshi with each other to make combo attacks, which are things that you don't see in like the anime or manga. Like, every now and then in the anime, they'll combine their attacks, or they'll do, the Sailor Team attack. But like, you can combine Chibiusa and Neptune and get a big attack from that. So that one's, it's got its own unique system. It's really fun. I played that a lot. And then the second one is far more obscure, to the point where I had a hard time finding any sort of like box art for it. And the Wikipedia page about this game is actually about a different game.
Okay, also, hold on. I want to clarify. The other game was a freaking Sega Saturn game. So if the Sega Saturn game is the one that people know about, then you're obscure. yeah, exactly.
So the second game is Magic Knight Rayearth for the Super Famicom. It yeah, there was like a little chunk of information on the Wikipedia. Here, I'll just read what's on Wikipedia. At least 5 other video games based on the anime series have been released. 2 for the Game Boy, the second one with the title Maho Kishirear second, The Missing Colors, 1 for the Super Famicom. That's it. That's all it gets. And 2 for the Sega Game Gear, the second game subtitled Making of Magic Knight Rayearth. Aside from the USA release of the Saturn game, all 6 games were released between December 1994 and October 1995, a period of less than a year.
Wow, they were booking it. Holy moly.
Yeah, they were, which probably explains why this one's so short, apparently. All 6 are completely different games, not ports of the same 2 or 3 games to different systems. So the really unique thing about Magic Knight Rayearth for the SNES, or for the Super Famicom, is that because of how the anime and manga works, they have an evolving weapon and armor system. So when you use your weapons and you get hit or damaged, those level up with you, which is really cool. And even in like the anime and manga, when the series starts, one of the characters compares their adventure in the land of Saphiro to an RPG. So it's very meta.
Interesting.
But yeah, that one, like, not as many people know about Magic Knight Rayearth. It's by Clamp. So if you know Cardcaptor Sakura, or oh shoot, I'm trying to think of one of the Tsubasa, yeah,
Chobits.
Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles, Chobits, Angelic Layer,
Triple Xholic.
Yeah, all of those are all Clamp.
My personal favorite is X 1999.
That's the one I was trying to think of.
Choice.
Because that one's pretty well known.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're known for giant eyes.
Yeah, funny because I'm not super duper well versed in anime. I like it, but just haven't gotten around to watching a ton of it. But funny enough, I've heard of Magic Knight Rayearth, but not because of animes. I've heard of Magic Knight Rayearth because of the aforementioned Sega Saturn game. I haven't played it, but I'm a big Sega nut, and I have a Saturn, and that's known as one of the really good gems on the Saturn. So,
oh my god, I want to play it.
I didn't even know it was originally an anime. I just thought it was a game on the Saturn.
Right?
Wow. Yeah. See, I didn't know it had a Saturn game until I looked up this Wikipedia article, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't for the Famicom.
That's awesome. I wonder if we should play them both. Just
maybe. Is it an RPG? I have a feeling like it's an action game by Cave or something. Do you know?
I have no clue at all.
I'm not. Yeah, I didn't pay enough attention to the Wikipedia article.
I should look
whatever.
At that. I'll look at it later.
But yeah, those are my 2 games. They're both from series that I loved when I was in high school. And I'm really excited to get into both of them. I'm probably going to be pushing hard for Magic Knight Rayearth just because it's so obscure.
Mm-hmm.
The Saturn game looks like an RPG.
Cool.
Oh, sweet. Cool. Well, we'll see what happens there.
It's
maybe we
action RPG, but like every place I'm clicking through on this long play, A is adorable, B is people talking, which is basically all we need for RPG Book Club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I was getting confused with the beat 'em up game on Saturn by Treasure, which also has the word knight in it. That's what I was getting confused with.
But, it's an action RPG.
Yeah, and it looks like it plays like Sonic Colors, which has me really excited.
Interesting.
Cool.
Like, I see them like switching through the 3 of them that are doing different things. But yeah, we should play them both. If Magic Knight Rayearth wins, I'm pledging right now, we'll do both games. We'll do Super Famicom, and then we'll do Saturn. You'll probably also have to emulate the Saturn because nobody has the Saturn.
Yeah. But, I imagine I can. Yeah, I imagine I can find a Saturn emulator.
But yeah,
actually, hold on. As the Saturn person in the group, Saturn is like the most complicated console architecture like ever freaking made. And even though it came out in 1990, gosh darn, like 4 or 5, it's only in like the last couple of years that there have been decent emulators. So honestly, you might not be able to find one that runs on your computer and that plays this particular game. But we can look into it, obviously.
Yeah,
but
we'll definitely
Saturn emulators are a nightmare.
Yeah. If we can't find an emulator, you can go to our Patreon and donate to buy all of us a Saturn and a copy of this game.
I'm sure that won't cost an arm and a leg.
Right?
Possibly just one limb.
But yeah, that one might be better suited for a bonus episode, because for bonus episodes we don't really expect for you to have played it, and we can do more obscure short games like that. So if we do Magic Knight Ray Earth, we will at least do a bonus episode of that one, so it won't be as impossible for you guys to keep up. But
cool.
So the voting starts by the time you hear this. The poll will be up, and if I, for some ungodly reason, I edit faster than I ever have before, and I go up before the poll is, I'll change the poll to be up right then. So by the time you hear this, the poll will be up, and you can go and vote. And the voting will be up until the 13th of June, and that's when we'll make the decisions. That'll then give you 2 weeks to get your copy of the game, get started before we start talking about it after Rogue Galaxy.
Mm-hmm. And if anyone needs help getting copies of these games because they are emulated fan translations, like, I just have them and can send them to anyone on our Discord.
Yeah. So we will also say that in most cases we are anti-emulation, because we want you to pay the people that that made these games. But
I would love to pay these people. I would love to be able to give them money for an English copy of these games.
Yeah. So if they bring these over on a virtual console or anything, the Switch eShop is not region locked, so you can make a Japanese account, go in, buy it there. Like, definitely,
oh my God,
if there's a way to give these people money, you should definitely do it. In fact, they still get money if you go out and buy a new copy from a bookstore of Magic Knight Ray Earth, the manga, which will probably be there at any bookstore you go to. So do that.
Yeah, go buy some manga.
Go buy,
since it's so good anyway.
It's such a good manga.
And the mangas are also super short. I think volume 1 is 3 volumes, and then volume 2 is also 3 volumes. So like,
it is 6 whole tankobon.
Yeah, you could take out an afternoon and have a whole bunch of Magic Knight Ray Earth, and it would be awesome. But yeah, like with fan translations in particular, it's like a gray area for us that we err on the side of, I want to experience these stories that people worked so hard on, more than and then find a way to give them money. So like if say you wanted to play through the awesome Super NES version of Dragon Quest III that never came out over here, you could emulate it and then buy the almost as good mobile version to give them the money, type thing. Like, always find a way to support these people, because you're pretty much stealing from them for emulation, and so you just need to get back to like a level playing field, is basically our opinion on it here on the podcast. So
I will say too, if I didn't have these, my choices would be something like Final Fantasy VI and Donkey Kong Country 2, which has like no story.
And Inuyasha for the
I have the Inuyasha for DS, which I didn't even finish playing, I don't think so. Yeah, that was originally going to be in the place of Magic Knight Ray Earth, but then I remember Magic Knight Ray Earth, and I'm like, oh, we should do that.
Yeah, when I was trying to think through the 2 that I was doing, there's a bunch of games that are important to me, but I never came close to finishing. So like, part of me wants to put Magination for the Game Boy Color on there, but like, I've gotten to like the second world and nothing ever past that. And so I'm like, I don't know how long the game is. I don't know like if the game continues to be good. I just remember it was important to me, and I want to be able to speak with like actual knowledge when I'm telling these people about things. And so I'm probably not playing Magination unless I beat it between now and then.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that's all of the wrap up or catch up we needed to do, so we can jump in and start talking about my personal favorite chapter. I don't know about you guys, but I've really fucking dug chapter 6.
Aside from how long it was, like
it was definitely long and definitely hard, but
just like that. Never mind. I'll be classy and not make that joke.
So the thing I mentioned last episode is what starts us off here. A completely vague, didn't really make sense, talk to every NPC twice, just like slow down on the Dorgenark, and I did not like it whatsoever. It was dumb.
I actually don't. I don't think that that's how it is at all. I think you just thought that's how it is, because I was expecting it because I heard what you said. I'm pretty sure you just have to go to the... It's still inexplicable and stupid, don't get me wrong, but it's stupid in a different way. You have to go to the deck.
I went to... But that's why I thought...
There's an NPC on the deck.
I went to the deck and I came back and it didn't do it. And then I talked to... that NPC was the last person I talked to again, and it did it. So I don't know if it's talk to that NPC that does it, but it's still... Like, no one says, hey, go talk to Jones out swabbing the deck. It just says, take a load off and relax a while. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so...
I thought the trigger was just go to the deck and then go back inside, because that's what triggered it for me.
Yeah, because I went to the deck and went back inside. I might have not walked to, like, the area of the deck that they had painted, but, like, I went all the way to the bow and all the way back and didn't do it. It's not the best thing, especially because all it does is waste time before Dorgengoa shows up.
Also,
you could
I
have
guess
walked back on.
I think they just made the cutscene be on the deck, and then they're like, "Oh, right, I guess you need to go to the deck."
Yeah, when they could have also cut that cutscene, and you just get back on the deck, and Dorgengoa is awake, and they skip right next to the next thing. But anywho, we have a lot of good to get through in this chapter. It just starts off with the one of the like most frustrating things besides the factory so far. But speaking of the factory, has anybody made the legendary sword you can make yet?
No,
I don't know if Ken's made that.
Is that the very first one listed?
It's the Thunder Sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
no, I haven't made it.
Sword.
I really wanted to. I actually made the machine that would make it, but I was missing one of the materials, the Stella whatever, and at one point I got one, and it went directly into my revelation flow.
That's how I was with all of the plates, because you need like 9 of them, and I only had 7, and so then I put Steve back in my party, and he needs like 5 of them, so I give them all to Steve, and I'm like, God damn it. It's so hard to hold on. Like, even though I warned us on the first episode, the revelation flow really doesn't affect your gameplay that much. Just use it for other things. And I'm like, okay, understood. Revelation flow first, factory second.
It's like, it's there. It's got slots. I can put things in the slots.
It's so much more convenient than the factory.
Put things in the slots. Like, it's got that psychological pull.
What? You want me with empty slots over here?
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck?
Well, actually, as one person mentioned in the chat, something that I picked up on, I was actually bringing this up last week, but I forgot. It does annoy me that the revelation flow, it turns out, is like fake. Like, you don't actually get any choice. Almost every single space has like 3 common items, and then 1 rare item that you can only get in a chest. So like, the game doesn't actually give you any choice. You're just you can't proceed until you get the 1 item that is actually blocking you, and the game designers decide when you get that item. So once I realized that, the blinders kind of fell off, and it was annoying. So now if I don't have the rare item, of course I'm not going to use up the common items for those slots.
It's one of those things where like it's a rare item in a chest in chapter 2, but in chapter 3, every mob drops them. So they want you to have it in chapter 3, but you can get it a little earlier if you find that chest.
That's true sometimes, at least for the Firestone.
The Firestone, the Stella, whatever. Like in chapter 7, every single mob dropped one. So everyone who needed one everyone who needed one in the Revelation flow got one in chapter 7. But so that's usually how it goes. What's annoying, however, is like now that I'm this far along, items that dropped like candy back on Jiraika are now the things holding me back because I'm so far in the game that I'm not getting the dragon skulls anymore. And I'm like, I'm not going back to that music just to fill out your revelation flow. I'm not doing it. I don't care how much I want Illusion Sword 3. I'm not going back. So we go out to the deck of the ship and we talk to an unimportant NPC, and we come back in, and Dorgengoa is awake, and there's this huge reveal, like literal drum rolls of like everybody like, ooh, the captain's about to wake, and just like showing like the empty curtains, and it's just like, who's the captain going to be? And because we didn't know who Volcog was yet, I was like, it's going to be Volcog. This is the thing. This is the super drama. But instead,
my guess was he's a bear. He's been hibernating all this time. Clearly, he is a bear. Awesome. He's just a fucking bear.
He's a different kind of bear.
Yeah.
So exactly. He comes out and like I am very body positive, but this is the fattest man I have ever seen.
He looks like a mix between the king in the Legend of Zelda cartoon and the what do you call it? Like hedonism bot from Futurama.
Oh,
like that's,
I was gonna say the ship captain in WALL-E.
That too.
Yeah. He's an extremely large person, and like you can't see his legs because his gut hangs over them in his chair, and like he's like his gut is just like this liquid mass of flesh around him, and it's really grossed me out.
It's like humanoid Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, and he makes his point by shaking his drumstick of meat at you. Yeah, and it's gross. I hate Missy Eaters like so much, and just looking at him made me want to hurl. Like,
how the hell did you have a baby?
He's got
she is a demon, and like every time we go and like she's eating yogurt, and I look over and she is now bathed in yogurt. I'm like, want to go take a bath? Oh my God. Daddy can't love you until you take a bath.
Yeah, you're sticky, which is the worst feeling.
Yeah, I hate being sticky. Gosh. Dorgengoa is a little weird. It's like, I don't know, not just that he was upsetting looking, but like he's just a regular like stereotypical pirate captain. Like, let's just put it this way: there's a reason his face isn't on the box art. Like, he's not an interesting character. It's like, why are you going to build up this guy for 6 chapters and then he shows up and he's not
and he's this.
I thought he was going to be this like. I thought he was going to be this like this force of charisma, even with the model that he has, even with being this large, unpleasant blob. Like, he could still be a powerful, charismatic figure, but he's just like, oh, me mateys, I'm a regular captain pirate.
It's also really uncomfortable how often Kisala calls him Papa.
Oh yeah,
and like the way she says that word. Are you really his daughter, or
one thing of it is I just like, how many people really use Papa as their endearing term for their dad?
It's a very Japanese thing.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure they kept it because of that. Yeah. But
well, actually, that is what you would call them in Russian, but that's because it's a different language. It's different.
Yeah. I also think that in like the reason he's kind of just like generic fat pirate captain is the same reason that Queen of Kwan exists. I think there's some cultural thing that eating is funny, and people who eat a lot is funny. That's why Naruto does it. That's why Goku does it. Mm-hmm. That's why Sailor Moon does it. I think like the inherent fact of someone loving to eat is funny culturally,
or at least it's a character trait.
And so him being this like loves to eat big thing, like the reveal for us is just like ew, but the reveal for them probably was funny. And I feel that's probably part of it. I'm just uncomfortable. So
as Dr. Wernstrom said in Futurama, who let loose this bloated man ball?
Oh my God. Gross. So there's a bloated man ball, asks everybody where Desert Claw is, and Steve is like, he's right here. And Dorgengoa is like, that's not Desert Claw, you idiots. Kill this guy. And then everyone's like, but he's super strong and he saved us and we loved him. And the captain's like, okay, fine, I'll let him prove himself. And this was the scene I was talking about last time where it doesn't feel like Jaster was super strong or saved anybody. Like, he renewed his visa and got thrown in jail. Like, whoop-de-fucking-do.
Well, he does know Illusion Sword too, and Desert Wind too. So
I mean, that's true.
He's the only person in the team who can one-shot every random mob.
By the end of these 2 chapters, Kasala now can one-shot everything with me. And so I made my entire way through chapter 7. I would start the battle. I would press triangle. I would go to Desert Wind. Everyone would survive. I would press triangle. I would switch over to Kasala. I would go and I would do Starshine level 2. And then everything would be dead. And I'm like, thank God, this is so easy. Chapter 7 is a breeze. I love it. Let's get through it. It's awesome. Because chapter 6 hurt me on like a spiritual level.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
It took me like 6 hours to get through it because I wasn't smart. I tried to out-level it, and you can't really. But anywho, we'll get there.
The past.
You can't. So Dorgen Goa is like, as you all know, our mission is to go and retrieve these tablets and find Eden. And I'm like, we don't know. We asked Steve, he wouldn't tell us. But thanks for now letting us know. So we have the same mission as Volcog, the evil man. We learn out his name is Volcog at the end of this chapter in the 3-hour movie that they give us in between chapters.
Yep.
And so I'm not going to keep referring to him as the evil dude. He's Volcog. We know his name now. So Dorgen Goa says that there's one that's been uncovered on Vedan in the Mina mines. So that's where we're all headed. And when you get there, if you go to save like you do at every save point you get a meanwhile, and it shows
so surprising.
It shows Steve talking to Dr. Pistachio on the phone, and the doc is like, "Oh, how's everything going? Like, you doing good? You sleeping well? You drinking lots of water? I'm going to go ahead and do some routine maintenance on you remotely, so can you power down for a second?" And Steve is like, "Okay, sure." And I'm like, "Oh, is Steve going to get like a special move or like get an item that'll unlock something in his revelation flow?" But instead, he wakes up Mark, Dr. Pistachio's dead son, whose brain has been living in the background of Steve's hard drive. And I was completely blown away by it. And this was the save point I saved at last week. And so I had to keep this shut up for 2 whole weeks.
So
he's powered
bizarre.
by the soul of a forsaken child.
He really is.
Also, the filmmaking on the scene is so weird. Like, when it first says, first of all, getting a meanwhile when you go to save, that's never happened before. So
Never
it surprises you. But then, if you recall the way the scene is, it's
every
like,
other 10 minutes.
it fades to black, and then all of a sudden, it fades out, and you get a straight on 90-degree, like straight at his face shot of Steve against a black background, and his eyes like flash, and there's no music except just like weird technological sounds.
Yeah.
And he put on headphones. It's very ominous and freaky, and I was like, what is happening? And
no, not Steve, my precious
and then
baby.
it goes from the weird filmmaking into the extremely weird plot twist. And man, what a bizarre thing to happen.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating when you go to save and suddenly you're in a cutscene, though.
Right. Never play Metal Gear Solid 2 is my advice to you.
Done.
So Mark says in the cutscene, he says that he's learning so much with his new friends on this journey, and says that they're going to Vedan to find a tablet or whatever. And it was really wild when it happened, and I was like super confused. And I'm like, this is now interesting. Like, Dr. Pistachio could have, like, in every JRPG, like, this is the first thing that they've done that breaks a trope, and I love it because it's about fucking time.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of things in this chapter where things get, like, it's still following tropes, but things definitely get a little weird in a lot of ways in this chapter, and it's real cool.
Like, in most JRPGs, you meet the robot's creator in Disc 2, and you never talk to him again. And if you go back there in Disc 3, he still says, like, I hope you have fun on your journey. Like, you don't even, like, call or text him or update him on what's going on. Like, he still has this old NPC dialogue because that story's over. You don't care about Dr. Pistachio anymore. You're now in Disc 3. But that's not the case here. Like Dr. Pistachio, like there's like 3 or 4 more of these meanwhiles in this chapter. I don't know if it's actually that many, but there's more meanwhiles, and he's like doing things, and it's good. Like,
yeah,
I very rarely expect a character that shows up like this late in the game. Like, because at the end of today, we're officially at the halfway point chapter wise. So, like shows up like halfway through the game and then like has agency and moves the plot along.
Yeah.
That's not a villain.
Well,
like
the
villains
game just
do that all the
seems so
time.
episodic, right? That you just assumed like he's the character in that episode. Now we're on the next episode.
But here he is still doing stuff.
Yeah.
So Jaster and Kasala alone make their way through the Mina station and doesn't let you pick a third party member.
I wonder
because
why.
you are about to meet one. So you get off, you go through the station. I didn't really like the level design of this place. It was passable. I liked the city a lot more, but like the train stations were just like long. Like like instead of like getting on at the front of the train, because that would make sense, you get on in like the middle of the train, so you have to walk extra far to get on it.
What
and
annoys me is they have 3 different platforms, and of course I'm going to walk all the way to the end of each platform in case there's a treasure chest, but there isn't.
Of course. There isn't. There's all the treasure chests in the thing are at the front behind you. Like when you come through, there's like a little alcove, and they're in the same spot in all 3 stations. And you're like, okay, thanks.
I actually respect them not making me go to the end, but they misjudged player psychology because I did anyway.
Yeah.
But I respect them not putting a chest there. But they also should have just, if the game had better draw distance and a higher resolution, I could have just looked to see if there was one.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. So.
Yeah. So when we get off the train, we meet a nerdy Dr. Livingston, I presume, and he's like decked out in like African safari garb and looks like a cliche like archaeologist that you would find in a Saturday morning cartoon, with a giant like Pinocchio nose. And I liked him more than I thought I would.
He's cool.
Yeah.
And so he says that he's trying to go see the tablets, and is like, oh, you're trying to see the tablets too? Like, if you see them, can we swap data that we have so we can, or like, I'm an archaeologist, I just want to know everything. He introduces himself as Burton, and he's being chased by some gangsters from the Metro Kingdom.
Yeah, it turns out that this level is literally like Prohibition Noir planet. It owns.
And they predicted New Donk City before it even happened.
The guys are just 100% just prohibition gangsters. They even have like the same like machine guns with like the big exaggerated parts.
Tommy gun thing.
Yeah.
And
cool.
So they chase Burton off, and we learn that they're the Moriarty clan, and they think that we're in cahoots with Burton, and so they attack us, and then I desert win them, and they all die.
It's amazing. They always have this dramatic build-up, and then they die in literally 3 seconds. And afterward, you're like, whew, we barely survived.
Oh, nameless goons.
So my new headcanon is that Jester's really sarcastic at the after all of these battles, where he's like, we barely did it, right, guys?
He's just saying it in a way that's
hard for me.
Yeah, he's just saying it in a way that makes him sound upbeat instead of sarcastic.
Yeah. So before Burton ran off, he mentioned Angela's bar. So we head there, and then we fight fucking zombies in the streets. Like, what kind of hellhole is Planet Vedan, where there's just casually zombies?
Yeah. This is interesting, because this is where the game's been doing this the entire time. But for some reason, it was in this chapter that I really realized, oh, this game like doesn't have safe areas. Really, it doesn't have like a distinction between like this is a town and this is a dungeon. Like it's kind of cool, actually. It reminds me of Kingdom Hearts, except I like it more. So it's like there's gonna be fighting battles every 2 seconds in this thing that is presumably a town.
And so as we're on our way to Angela's bar, we see those poor people from Zerard, the mom and her child, which threw me for a loop, because they said they couldn't afford to eat on Zerard, but they can afford to buy an interplanetary space ticket? Like, how the fuck did they get here?
Yeah, I'm guessing they probably hitchhiked.
Oh yeah.
In my notes it said, I guess SpaceX takes food stamps now.
Wow.
So the girl asks if her dad is there, and her mom says that he might be. And then we don't interact with them whatsoever. Like, they don't even go over and be like, oh, hey, how the hell did you get here? Who are you looking for? Tell us more about show. Like, we obviously are crossing paths. Like, let me help you. This is a side quest. And no, they don't.
I'm still theorizing that it's Simon.
Yeah,
I don't know that the game is clever enough to do that.
Well, I don't even know if it's going to be too clever. It's like, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been spoiled on the end of this plot line, and it's pretty cool, I will say.
Okay,
good.
Okay,
but it made me really mad that I was spoiled on it, because I wish I would have found out the coolness.
Yeah, totally.
So then when the girl asks if her dad is there, the Moriarty clan runs by and shoves them to the ground, and they fly like 15 feet. And then the mom says, I tripped. And then the daughter says, well, if Dad was here, he would beat up the bad guys. And then we don't say anything, do anything, or give them one of the thousands of bananas we have from Jerica to give them some food. We don't do nothing.
I was just thinking, if Steve was in the party, she's like, if Dad was here, maybe he'd beat up the bad guys. And Steve goes, maybe he would. And the music's like, dun, 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 dun. Like it's development.
LOL. So we finally get to Angela's bar, and we see Digo, our doggo party member from the cover. And Doggo is drinking his cares away, and Angela, the barmaid, is saying that he's cut off for the night. And like, I am not a weeaboo type. Like, I do not like have a waifu or anything like that, but I thought Angela was really, really pretty, and it was like weird for me because I don't do that like with anime characters at all.
I like her a lot.
She looks like Princess Zelda.
She does. But, like, I don't think Zelda's pretty. But for some reason, I thought Angela was, like, really, really pretty.
Oh, okay.
And it was weird to me. Like, I was discovering things about myself I didn't know existed. And
I might be a weeb.
I might be a weeaboo. Do I have a waifu now, guys? Like, real talk?
I think I do. I think I would have felt more that way if it wasn't for the fact that she's a stupid elf with stupid elf ears. I am racist against elves. I'm just going to say that. I don't like them. I never liked them. And...
Well,
you're now banned from talking in our general Discord because it says bigotry is not allowed.
So for the elves that are listening,
my main in World of Warcraft is an elf. You
it's interesting how like there weren't space elves until this chapter, and in this chapter, like there's like three main characters that are space elves. It's interesting.
I fucking love
Norma
them.
is a space elf. Like,
yeah, Norma's a space elf.
She is too. Well, I guess I like elves after all. She's not like the other elves.
She's one of the good ones.
Anywho,
but no, it's more just like the place that elves have in popular culture. Like they're always just like look at us, we're smug and good at everything. I'm just like, I don't care. This isn't interesting. But in this game, even though they look like elves, the resemblance really ends there. Honestly,
yeah, and that's pretty much
the trophy elves.
So Angela's like, Digo, you're cut off. And he's like, let me drink whenever I want. And then Angela says, I miss that old Digo, heroic soldier Digo. And not that drunk, not getting younger, getting older Digo. Sorry.
Very good, Sam. Very good.
Well done.
The line that she says is like half of that I put in there. And I was like, this is Kanye.
Yeah,
this is just Kanye right now.
Same.
Because she literally says, I miss the old Digo, and I'm like, that's it. It's done. I can't not read the rest of this line in that cadence. But Angela then mentions that she's in love with Digo, that they're obviously an item, and now I guess I have to hate Digo, like, because we're in a competition or something. So right as we walk in and we observe her rap battle, Burton gets tossed into the bar by some Dunmer-looking motherfucker with a trench coat named Gale, and he says something about not doing anything to threaten the town or the Moriarty family, and then Digo's like, "Hey, Gale," and Gale's just like, "You're a pathetic coward," and he leaves. Then Burton asks Digo if there's a secret entrance to the mine, and Digo's just like, leave me alone. Burton says that Digo's a wolf, and Digo gets pissed. And Burton's like, I'm sorry, it's just a dream of mine to go and see these tablets, and that's apparently a trigger word for Digo. And Digo's like, well, if that's your dream, then I guess I have to help you. And he asks if Burton has money, and Burton says definitely. And then Casala and Jester are like, oh, hey, like, we can come too. Like, we're not a part of this.
We're inviting ourselves along.
We're standing here. Oh, man, it reminded me of in Entangled, where she's literally like, my dream is to see the lights. And all the barmen are like, I had a dream once.
Yeah.
Big song.
That's literally what happened to Digo just now. So we head off with our full party now, and Digo tells us that the item shop has black market ID cards, and that should get us into the mine. So we make our way across this huge town. Like, I loved how huge Zerard was. I did not love how huge Vedan was. I don't think I've still explored all of Vedan. And because, like, Zerard was huge, but had, like, 3 small hubs of, like, item shop, armor shop, blah, blah, blah. Like, there are, like, 3 sections of that. This one, there's 1 item shop, 1 armor shop, and 1 Angela's bar, and they're in, like, separate continents.
Well, also, you know,
much.
Zerard didn't have random battles.
Yeah, that too.
Did you find out the faster way to get around?
To ride the train?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just jump up on there.
Oh, we didn't try that.
You also can jump on the train and stop it at particular parts and jump up to get some equipment for Digo. I found this out after I had already died once, and so I was going back to find armor for him because I couldn't find the weapon shop the first time, and Jesus, I couldn't find the K button. But yeah, so I couldn't find the weapon shop the first time, so I was looking around everywhere trying to find it. Didn't get any new equipment for Digo, and because of a fight later, you really need equipment for Digo. And so I looked online, and they're like, "Oh, hey, there's chests up high that you use the train as a platform." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "That's cool." There's been no vertical exploration in this entire game, and I feel cheated out.
Yeah, it's this level and also the next level. The level design all of a sudden is like vertical. It's good and it's interesting, but the thing is, it wasn't good and interesting before.
No, it was a lot of hallways.
I'm not used to actually having to like put in effort. I like it, but it's just, it was a change of, I had to change my thinking a bit to like, oh, right, I need to pay attention now. I can't just go through the maze blindly.
Yeah. Which I thought was one of the many reasons that like this chapter has been my favorite so far. Like it was really freaking good. So, so we head way across to the item shop, and then when we get there, Gale attacks us, and he talks shit about Digo, and then he says, I just got one last job, and then I'm leaving Vedan forever, because that's what every criminal always says.
Yep.
And Digo says that they used to be soldiers together, but Gale has changed for some reason. And while we're sitting there getting our ID cards, Burton comes up and says that Angela's bar has been set on fire. We head over, and Angela says that it was Gale. So then one of my favorite things, I tweeted this because it shook me. So Angela says it's Gale, and then the camera cuts to Digo, and then his facial expression changes to become an angry 1,000-yard stare. And it's this game is full of subtle facial emotions in a PS2 game, and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
You usually get in games like this, you get a shocked face and a regular face.
It's so cool.
And that's it.
Well, one reason I think it's technical. It was a good technical decision, because in a lot of these games they do 3D modeled faces, but on PS2 you can't do that much with it because it's such a simplistic console. And Xenosaga, for example, they have very richly detailed faces that don't move. But in this game, they decided, no, we're going to do the painted on texture faces. But they must have realized, wait a second, painted on textures don't take a lot of RAM to do, and also they don't take a lot of memory on the disc. So if we're going to do painted on texture faces, there's no reason we can't do a shit ton of them. right?
Yeah.
So it's way better than if they had tried to 3D model the faces. Like they're able to have because all they had to do was just draw like for this cutscene. It's like, hey, can we draw a face to be used in just this one cutscene? Yeah, sure. It doesn't take that long.
It's like 6 kilobytes, whatever.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so good. So he does the 1,000-yard stare, and it goes to a flashback to early on in the war, where him and Gale accidentally fucked up and killed a whole lot of civilians.
Okay, because he's a good boy. He's a good troop.
Yes.
He wasn't going to shoot them.
Yeah, but Gale... So he was like, hey, we need to stop. But then, like, as he was doing that, a civilian was like, well, if you're going to shoot me, I'm going to shoot you, and shot Digo before Digo could tell Gale, hey, we fucked up. And so Gale goes in and pretty much slaughters all of them, and not just the men, the women and children, too.
You can't shoot me, I'll shoot you.
Yeah. And they're actually doing the thing where, like, war profiteering is bad, and maybe the Datron Corporation is stoking this war. And I thought they were just going to forget about that plot point, but they didn't.
They didn't.
It's actually the plot of the game. It's great.
Like, a whole lot of those things were like, I don't know if this game is, like, mature enough to handle these things. We thought they weren't after 5 chapters, but here we are in chapter 6, where I'm like, oh no, like, this is where, like my heart hurt a lot through this chapter. And, like, it was awesome. Like, it was better than the fucking Jungle Planet. Like,
it was way better than Space DMV.
Yeah. And also, I think a lot of that is helped by Digo being a really cool character. I love his performance. His acting is really good.
His performance is great. Like, seeing his model, like, on the cover, I had no idea what his voice would be like. And I couldn't tell you, just looking at him, what the perfect voice would be. But he has the perfect voice. And it's like, it's done so well.
Part of what I like about Digo, too, is that he's just a guy in a dog body. He's not like a stereotypical dog man. Like his closest dog quality is like loyalty.
No, his closest dog quality is he uses a dog pun in every fucking.
Well, yeah, he does use a lot of dog puns. But he's not like
he's top dog, or the dog's been put out to wash, or whatever bullshit that he says.
But he's treated as a serious character and not just like Dogman.
He also has one of my we're at the scene now where I want to talk about this real quick. He has one of my favorite lines, actually my favorite line in the game thus far. So he's talking with Shangela, and it's after the fire, and she's like, I'm so sad that my bar is burning. Now where are you gonna hang out? And he looks at her and gives her like the sexiest look you've ever seen, and he goes, I didn't go there to hang out. And I'm like, hell yeah, you tell her. It's so fucking good. It's like and like the voice actor lays it off. Like, he says it in the most like sultry manner possible. Like, I didn't go there to hang out. And I love Digo. He's a good boy.
It's so perfect.
Yeah. It was good. That whole scene was beautiful. Definitely go look at Eli's playthrough and like watch it. It's so good. Scarlett had my phone again for most of me taking notes, so I just had to jot down the notes there, and all I put in my notes was after a touching scene with Digo and Angela, but it's way better than that. Definitely go and watch it out. We head off to the mine to have our second half of the chapter dungeon change, and we go there to have a conversation with Gale and the tablet, and the mine itself I really liked. The dungeon of it, like there was a bit where like the paths would like figure eight over themselves, but the top one would be low enough that you could jump with Jaster to like sequence break type thing, and so like it felt more of like a space and not just a hallway, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the second half where there were a bunch of the big mobs that you have to smack on the head because they don't die to desert wind, so didn't like that.
But yeah, being able to actually jump and like it was like, oh, I forgot I could grab in this game. I forgot I could do a ledge grab because it's never been relevant.
Yeah,
but now it is. It's cool.
Yeah,
actual level design.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but mostly nothing happens in there. You just walk down to the end and you fight Gale. And
did y'all get the second meanwhile here?
I don't think I got it there. I might have got it there. And
I can't remember.
Which one is the second
Here's
one?
the thing. I got a second meanwhile here, where Mark is just like, Dad, here's the fun thing we're doing. But here's the thing. He's like, Dad, we get to go to a mine. And I'm like, you're not here.
You're not with us.
And he's talking about how cool the mine is. And I'm just like, you are not here. I can't even put you in my party because the game doesn't let me change my party. You are at the ship. You don't know how cool the mine is. You stop lying.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I had that one. I just didn't jot it down. I thought you meant the big one at the end of, or at the beginning of chapter 7.
No. Yeah,
okay.
That's later. That's definitely planned to be later.
Yeah. Okay. So the first round against Gale is a pretty cool fight. I really liked it because I couldn't just illusion sword. I still illusion sword. Like, don't get me wrong. I just had to illusion sword 3 times instead of my usual one, because he has arms that block all damage to his body where he is. So you have to take his arms off, and one arm is. Has like a big laser. No, it's a flamethrower, and does the other one have a gun or like a melee weapon? I don't remember.
It's like a laser axe. It's a melee thing.
Yeah, so he has a melee and
he has a gun
ranged.
too, but maybe that's attached. Maybe the gun isn't on either arm. I think the gun might just be on his body or something.
And so he's swinging away at you, and you have to go and take down both arms, so then you can take down his body. And then when you go to his body, he does the weird thing where he's like, oh no, I'm losing, let me be better now, because why didn't he just drill up giant rocks of earth and hurl them at you when he also had a flamethrower? I don't know. But the second time he like gets a drill on the bottom of them and can drill down, pick up rocks, throw them at you, and it's super cool. I really like that boss fight, and so I finished.
It's a good fight.
I finished it. I was like, "This is awesome! Good job, everyone! Chapter well done. Let's go. Let's watch the thing and finish this chapter." Except there's a second boss fight, and the second boss fight is fucking bullshit. It's actually brilliant and really fair, and you're supposed to have learned all of the things so far, but because I'm a stupid min-maxer that is filled out his revelation flow, and
bullshit.
I have illusion sword and desert wind. I haven't been training myself to fight in these battles, and this one was like, okay, you have to be good at Rogue Galaxy battles, and I wasn't good at Rogue Galaxy battles at all. I had won all of them so far, but I was not good because I was not good at blocking and all of that stuff. So what he does is you're Digo by yourself. So you go to talk to him, and you're like, Gale, like, why are you doing all the bad? Why don't you do all the good? And Gale's just like, because I'm evil, and I'm going to fight you man to man. And so then you fight him man to man. I'm paraphrasing what happens there. I don't remember. I watched it once, didn't take notes, and then skipped it every other time because I was mad and I wanted to get back to this fight that killed me so fucking much. So, you're Digo by himself, and he's super underleveled because he's brand new. I mean, he's probably appropriately leveled, but that's bullshit because it's hard. So he's super underleveled because you just got him, and you basically have to be guarding the whole time. And then he has this taunt where he'll like brush his hair and like taunt you with his gun, and that's long enough to get out a full combo. So you use his Adigo's move called Top Dog, and you get in as many hits as you can, and then you guard through all of his bullshit again. Because if you don't guard, he hits you 6 times in a row for 48 damage, which is more health than you have as Digo, and he kills you a lot.
And all these moves are kind of random. There's no because there's sometimes where he'll just tumble around to avoid you, and sometimes where he'll jump up and do one shot, or sometimes where he'll stand on the ground and do one shot, and then there's other times where he'll do like 6 shots in a row.
Yeah.
And if you fuck up on one of those, then you are dead.
Yeah, and it's like trying to enforce that guarding is important, and I probably will guard on everything that can't die to Desert Wind from now on. But like it taught me successfully at the end of it, but it didn't teach you in a good way because there's no save point in between these two boss fights.
Yeah, there really should have been.
So having to watch a cutscene before a boss fight is like regular expanding brain, but having to fight a boss fight before a boss fight is like galaxy brain.
Yeah,
like it's bullshit.
It's such bullshit. So like the first time you get there, you're a dumb idiot that doesn't know what blocking is because you've just been using magic AoEs on everything. So the first thing he does, he jumps in the air and unloads his clip on you, and you die in 30 seconds. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I don't. This was a fight. Like, what? Because like I happened so quick. It died so quickly. I thought I was supposed to lose because I was like,
oh yeah, it's one of those Final Fantasy fights
and it's
where
like, nope.
And then it's like game over, and I'm like, oh, I was supposed to like win. So then I go and I start like hitting him and getting out some pop shots my second time, and like I'm not even moving his health bar because Digo is so underleveled, and so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go grind for 3 whole hours to make Digo like on level with Jaster and stuff. And so I do that, and he still barely moves his health bar. Like, he just has freakish amounts of damage, freakish amounts of defense, and it's just supposed to be a fight where you guard for like 30 minutes to finally get through it.
Dude, why couldn't Gale have been on our team?
Right?
Seriously. If he was on our team, then he wouldn't be as good.
Yeah. That's how
true.
it works.
That's how it works. The thing about this fight is the main issue, in my opinion, really is the amount of health that he has.
Yeah.
And not because it takes forever, but it's because you think you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so like when I got to this fight, I got to the fight after all y'all did. So I heard that it was a pain in the ass. I made sure Digo was adequately leveled. And then I thought, I'm going to fight this fight without looking at Sam's tips because I'm going to try and figure it out myself. And the thing is, after like 2 or 3 tries, I basically did figure it out. But I still looked at your tips because I thought that I was doing it wrong. I was like, okay, because like I got that I had to dodge him. I go, one thing that is cool about this battle, you get unlimited gun. You can't instead of you getting 3 reloads and then you're done, you actually get unlimited reloads, which is really cool.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't notice that.
So because of that, the fact that it's like a mirror match, right? Like he's got a gun, you've got a gun, so that makes me think that it's supposed to be a gun match, except your gun does so little damage. Like if y'all were both shooting at each other, having a shootout, that'd be really cool dramatically. But yeah, I got that I could shoot him anytime. Basically, I could shoot him constantly and then briefly block and then resume shooting him. So I was really going hog on the gun thing. And then also there's a lot of times when maybe you can't get a whole combo, but he stops and you can get like 1 hit and then resume blocking. So I figured out all that stuff, but I still thought that I was playing it wrong. And the reason is because all of my attacks took off so little health.
Yeah.
So when you see that, you think, oh, there must be a trick that I'm missing.
Yeah.
So what I was doing is I kept trying all these different abilities. Basically, I kept trying all these different things. And every time I tried something new, it would get me killed. Yeah. Whereas once I realized that, oh, no, this is actually what you're supposed to do, and I just did it, it wasn't that hard. But yeah, like I would have, even though he can kill you super fast, even though it's bullshit, I would have probably ended up really enjoying it if he had half as much health, because then the game would have been giving me feedback. You know? I would have said to myself, "Oh, this is cool. Okay, I can do this." Instead of just like, "Am I doing it wrong?"
Yeah.
It was.
Ken,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, Ken and I read your tips, Sam, and we would have had him on the first attempt, but Ken got a little too cocky. And he got hit by a combo.
I do kind of like that. I do like it when I die simply because he had a sliver of health left and I was fucking stupid. I'm like, okay, fair. That's on me.
Except for when that happened on the Nyx Avatar fight on Persona.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yes, true.
Yeah. So after we finally beat the fight, which took about 6 hours of my playtime, was getting prepared for this fight or trying the fight and failing. Someone comes and steals the tablet from the mine with like this giant centipede-looking tablet-sized ship. Like it's literal. Like one purpose is to be a crane game to steal these giant tablets. And it flies in. It's like perfectly sized. It grabs it with pinchers and it flies up and takes off. And go ahead.
I was going to say, also, I've been saying for a while that this game seems like it's very inspired by Tetsuya Takahashi's games, and that tablet is literally just the Zohar from Xenosaga. The design of the runes and the glowing lines, like, it is like that guy, like, when they made this game, they're like, we just played Xenosaga, and that is what, like, all of this super, super basic technology, not just the tablet, but the ship. Anytime something is magical and ancient and glowing, it is like it is basically like the lead concept artist from Xenosaga may as well have designed it. Like,
I feel so lost every time you guys bring these other games up because I'm like, I have touched none of them.
Well, if it's just visual, it's just like it clearly looks like this other game, you know.
Well, if you want to play it, then you listeners can just donate to the Patreon and unlock Longcast, because the first game we'll probably be playing is Xenosaga for the Longcast. Spoilers for like 4 years from now when we make $200 a month.
Exactly.
But Xenosaga is probably going to be our first one that we play, because when I stopped playing Xenosaga back in the day, it was because I was like, man, this is exhausting. There's just so much story going on, which is perfect for the RPG book club.
Oh, you haven't actually like played a lot of it or beaten it or anything?
No, I played to the second or third boss fight, I think, and that was it. That was like 12 hours of gameplay, but
yeah, wow, y'all are in for some wild rides.
Yeah.
Xenosaga sure is a video game.
I'm super excited for when that apparently comes. But so the ship is taking the Zohar away, and Gale is like, hey guys, can I get paid, thanks? And instead the ship just shoots him. And Digo's like, see, they were just using you. And then Gale's like, again, seems like you were right all along, which is like super unearned cheese for the character of Gale. Like you don't burn down my wife's fucking bar and then say, looks like you were right all along. Like the fact that you had to burn down her bar like should have cued you in that you were doing the bad thing.
Yep. His motivation was neat here, though, as explained earlier in the cutscene that you forgot to take notes on. I also didn't take notes on it, but I remember. He basically he knows that they're bad, basically, but he's like, even if these guys are clearly seem suspicious, I think that finding Eden will be good for like humanity, regardless of who finds it. And it's kind of a Nietzschean will to power thing. He's like, I just want to have a big impact on the world after being so beaten down my whole life, and I'm allying with these guys that are clearly up to no good, because I think that'll help me do that. But then they literally try to fucking shoot him, and he's like, okay, I guess not.
So then Gale says that he says that Moriarty promised the tablet would end the war by bringing the blessings of Eden to the galaxy. He says he wanted to believe in that so he could recover his pride as a human instead of just as a soldier. And Digo asks, where will you go? And he says, just one place will accept me. See you on the starry seas, and gives Digo an officer's coin, which I then thought would be the Dorgenark, because that was true for Jupus last time. He was like, look, nobody will take me, so I joined you guys. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Are we going to have Gale, like, not as a party member because all of our slots are full, but, like, will he be there or something? But we have no idea what that just one place will be. Well, which means now that Dr. Pistachio shows up and does a lot of important stuff, we'll probably see Gale again.
So that makes sense, and he's probably at some planet that we'll find out later. But I kind of read it as like, this one place will accept me. See, I'm a Star Season. I'm like, wait, so is the one place just like space in general?
Just space in general.
To space. Also, I gotta say, he's basically like Eden would make peace because it has lots of resources, so they wouldn't have war because of all the resources. And I'm like,
do you not know what forces?
I'm just like, yet another fantasy villain, just like Thanos, who would stop being evil if someone just told him about socialism.
Right?
It's like, don't you know that scarcity is not the problem, Thanos? It's the unequal distribution of resources, not the lack of resources. Killing half the people isn't going to fix that problem.
Yeah.
Finding Eden is not going to fix the problem because the evil corporation is going to hog all the resources. That's how capitalism works.
Yes.
Anyway.
Technically spoilers for Infinity War, but it's spoilers that are said in the first 5 seconds of the movie. So, and
like the trailer.
So like, if you wanted to go in completely blind, we ruined it for you, and you can send us sturdy messages on our Discord or at patreon.com/rpgbookclub.
And also donate to us in the meantime.
Yeah. So we head back to Angela's bar, but she's not there, and she left town with no message. Digo is like, yeah, I was... What the fuck did I put... What? Like, I literally put the words, yeah, I was just
yeah.
and luck. And I have no idea what he was actually trying to
Here's what
say.
it is. I don't know what you were trying to write, but what he says is,
Okay.
he's like, he basically like, I was a big burden on her, basically. And that's why she's finally left, because her bar's gone. So she's like, yeah, that's basically it. It's like, oh, she hates me. I'm a big burden.
Yeah.
I love when that happens, Sam. I do that shit all the time. Like, what the hell did I just write?
Because like that's obviously Siri took a word that I put there and changed it. I have no idea what it was changed from.
Which of the words? Yeah.
So Kasala's like, no, she did it so that you would go and live your life instead of relying on her because you've been stuck in a rut. And he's like, oh. So I guess that's it, and she's gonna go and live her life. And Kala's like, no, she's being a dumb, stupid girl. Go and get her. And so we head off to the station. And by the way, did everybody else see the robots in like minor clothes?
Yeah,
because robots in clothes is just so silly to me. And so like there's robots with like a wife beater and a construction hat and jeans, and I'm like, you don't need that, you're a robot, what are you covering up? It's fine.
I love them. It was super great.
So
it was very Futurama-esque.
Yeah, I loved it. So we finally get to the station, and we catch Angela right before she leaves. And this is when the cutscene that lasts 3 hours starts. So So Digo says that he loves her, and she decides to stay in a really cool cinematic moment where like he's like, I love you, will you please stay? And then it cuts to the doors closing on the train, and then the camera goes to the opposite side of the train, and the train starts pulling out. And the way that it is, we see like Jaster and Digo through like the holes in the train or whatever, but not until so it looks like they're by themselves. And then only when it fully moves out do we see that Angela was there waiting on Digo. Like, okay, I will stay. And I like the filmmaker in me was like, yeah, that's how you fucking do it, guys. Like that's the shit. That's the shit I do like.
It was real nice. Yeah. It was a really cool, weird, artsy bit, and then had a cool little fake out there.
I really appreciated that. I thought that was cool.
Like here in a second start like the high poly cutscenes that are always gorgeous. They've been gorgeous since the beginning, but like this chapter had 2 bits of the in-engine cutscene that just were like brilliant to me. Like so beautiful and well crafted, when like typically your in-engine cutscenes are the 5 of you standing around a save point and just talking. And
I was surprised by how robust the engine was and how the engine was capable of handling a lot of pretty complex like things, so they don't have to cut to FMVs constantly, because a lot of the time, like if you ever play Final Fantasy 12, like the only time you use FMVs is when they're clearly doing something that could not possibly be done in engine. So if it's just people talking, it doesn't matter how dramatic it is, it's still going to be in engine, which is cool. It's only when there's like spaceships happening that they have FMVs, and this game is sort of doing that too. It's like it doesn't matter, like they don't need FMV to make characters do elaborate animations or movements or close-ups. It's cool.
Yeah, I loved it so much. So she decides to stay, and she doesn't get on the train. And then the very next scene it cuts to is him saying that he's leaving her to join us and find himself so he can be worthy of her. But it's really dumb. And she even says like they hang a lantern on it, and she's like, "But through all of that, and you're still going to leave me?" And he's then like, "Yeah, but I have to make sure that like I'm good enough for you or whatever." But it's still just
Fuck you, dude.
But he's also got like I need to have somewhere to return to. So he's basically like, I get to go have adventures, but you have to stay here and not go have adventures purely for my sake. And I was like, that's not cool.
Yeah. She then says, like, in the end, it becomes like decent. Like it's not completely not cool, because then she's like, I was just leaving because like you weren't being honest with your feelings, and you weren't that old Digo. Now you're the old Digo again, and I love you and all of that stuff. So of course I will wait for you. I'm happy you're not depressed anymore. That was the main reason that like things were bad was because you were so depressed, but I'm glad you're in a better place. And like,
Yeah.
in the end, like, I still love Digo and Angela's overall relationship. It was just the juxtaposition of like, no, please don't leave me. I have to leave you. I'm the man. It's my job to leave.
It's my job to be absent.
So then the biggest twist of this chapter starts. We cut to Gale holding up Moriarty for stabbing him, and so Moriarty's like, "Ugh, guards, take my lightweight," and then Gale, like John Wick 3, just like jumps up, like kills everybody, just like badass.
It's so damn cool.
Badass gunplay. Like I think he's even in his trench coat still. Like he is full on like Wachowski, just blowing everybody up, and it's amazing. And then Moriarty's like, no, and then Gale just like caps Moriarty too, and it's so cool.
Yeah,
and it was so good.
Yeah, which would be exciting, except there's like sad like JRPG pop like love ballad music playing.
There's a place I'm longing for tonight, a place I love, so far, far away, that lives in my heart, a treasure buried deep inside, and I'll keep wandering until I find it again someday.
Oh yeah, that music was like, something bad's gonna happen because this music is playing.
So when they first hold so that's why when he first holds up Moriarty, I'm like, oh, the sad anime music is playing. He's gonna die here. But then he kicks their ass, and I'm like, I guess the sad music was misguiding me. He didn't die here. But the sad music kept playing, so I was like, what's going on here?
And so after he kills Moriarty, we get a cutscene of like Ang Lee's the Hulk style, the Dorgenark taken off, and then you see like a cut in at the top of Dorgengoa being mad, and then another cut in at the bottom of people being like, oh no, like blah 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 blah, and then them deciding to chase the tablet. But it's very like comic booky, where it pops in just their talking heads, which was very like, it was the one good thing from Ang Lee's the Hulk. And and I thought that was really, again, really cool. Like this game keeps doing really cool ass shit. But
and like montagey thing, like it cuts from the Gale scene to this scene to the other scene, all with the same music playing. So it's very much like a end of the episode sort of montage sort of feel to it. It's very cool.
And so then we see Gale coming down, all feeling proud of himself, and he sees this punk kid that we've seen like working for Moriarty this whole time, and Gale's like, "Hey, I killed your boss. You're free now." And the kid's like, "Aw, dude, thanks," and goes up to hug Gale, but it's actually a knife, and he stabs Gale like up under his ribs, and he's like, "This is for what you did to Dad." And Gale just laughs and says, "Well, I guess that's how it always is," and he dies. And the sad JRPG music is
the sad JRPG music.
Yeah. It's
that's
good.
how it is on this bitch of an earth.
Yep. So then Angela is back at the at her bar, still burnt to the ground, and she picks up a photo of her, Gale, and Digo, and she pockets it, and it's super sweet. And then Gale looks up like from his deathbed there on the street, and he looks up at the Dorgenark leaving, and then Angela looks up at the Dorgenark leaving, and then Digo is at the bar again. He says that he's changed, but he's at the bar on the Dorgenark drinking. And it's
he's
like
changed so much. He's at a different bar.
Now he's just drinking for fun instead of to drown away his sorrows.
Yeah. And it's a really like sweet, cinematic, super awesome cutscene. I wrote in my notes like, this game is so fucking good at cutscenes. And so then we see Moriarty's iPad get a FaceTime from Norma, who says that they have the tablet and they've sent him the money, and she doesn't care that he didn't respond and it was facing up outside on a street. She didn't mind. She's just like, "Oh, we've sent you the money." And so then Dorgengoa is like, "All right, kid, you've proved to us that you're a part of the team." And I'm like, "Did I? Digo fought the guy. I didn't do shit." really. I didn't even decide to go to the mine. That was Kasala, but cool. I'll take the credit. So he gives us a Dorgengoa coin, which unlocks a super awesome move that isn't as strong as Desert Wind Part 2. So we then are officially a part of his crew, and that ends Chapter 6. One of the coolest things I've done in a JRPG in a while, and I really liked it. So Chapter 6 is over. Chapter 7's 3-hour cutscene now starts, and so we're chasing the tablet ship, which seems to be headed towards Rosa, and Kasala. Oh, I forgot about this part. Holy shit. Okay, sorry, I have to get my composure back. So we're chasing the tablet ship, and which seems to be headed towards Rosa. And while we're all sitting there talking, Kasala is like screams in pain a little bit and is like, "Sorry, G2G," and runs to the deck and starts to fucking disappear like she's a plot point in Back to the Future. Like
yeah,
and
straight up like turns transparent.
Yeah, and so Lilica runs after her and is like, "Have you gone to see a doctor?" And Kasala's like, "It doesn't bother me. It happens all the time." And I'm like, "How does disappearing out of existence not bother you?"
Have y'all seen The Room?
Yes.
No, I have not.
She literally is like, she's like, this is Lilica is like, this is really serious, and she's basically like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay, even if she says it's fine, like, that's different. Like, if someone like throws up or has a headache and then they tell you that you're fine, you're like, okay, I guess. But like,
you're
disappearing out of existence is like, it's not just her health I'm concerned about. It's like
okay?
the
Do you need to see a
reality that I'm
doctor?
concerned about. I'm like, not just is it going to be okay, but what the hell is even happening?
Also,
I really feel like we should be concerned about this.
What is a medical doctor going to do about that?
No idea.
Out of curiosity.
Did you go to the doctor line? Is
Unless they mean like Doc Brown, like
Right?
maybe that's who they mean.
So like the moment they get out there, Steve calls them inside. It's like, "Hey, we're about to land on Rosa. All hands on deck," or whatever. So then meanwhile on Zerar, we finally get to see Volkog's face, and he's totally on a Star Wars Senate platform,
100%,
100% from the prequels, and then Hoodcat and the chairman are there with him, and so Volkog introduces the new capital flagship called the Emperor, and it's a super huge battleship, armed to the teeth, like practically made out of guns. It is this giant like death.
Yeah,
it's not like a star of death, but it probably is like a base of star killers, something like that.
Yeah,
like it is.
And they definitely straight up say they say like, this is by far the biggest warship we've ever made. Like, this is our new amazing ship that we're just unveiling right now. Yeah.
And Hoodcat is like, building the Death Star is a bad idea, and Volkog is like, but what is justice without power? And Hoodcat's like, what do you even mean by justice? You just want to line your pockets, which is like super cool because we were hoping that war profiteering would be like a plot, and it is.
Yeah,
real Iraq War hours.
And so Hoodcat's like, please, Chairman, like we can end the war if we just back down. Like, we don't have to like surrender, but we're the aggressors. So if we stop aggressing, we win. Like, that's it. War can be over. And the chairman's just like, I'll take 300. And
Yep.
And so Volkog starts laughing maniacally, and he jumps off the stage and lands in his flying space convertible with Norma, and it's the coolest thing that
the dude knows how to make an exit, man.
Right?
Yeah,
this like fat Emperor Pilaf looking motherfucker just like jumps off, and it's so cool.
There was so much going on in this cutscene, like, yeah, the plot stuff, but also like in the background, like, because he's basically doing a military demonstration to impress people. So like, there's ships, there's giant holograms, there's streamers, there's like the FMV artists had a really fun time with this cutscene. Like, they must have just told him, like, go hog wild, put every cool thing you can think of in the background of this scene.
Yeah, it's so good. So he jumps into his convertible and he flies off. And then Norma's like, the tablet's en route to Rosa. We can head there now. And he's like, good, I'm evil and shit. So back on the Dorgenark, we're following the ship, and we see it being set down in the ruins on Rosa, but we don't want to land too close so they'll know we followed them. And Jaster says, there's a port in Salgan right over there because these are planets, but they're basically the size of towns. We can go right over there and follow them from there, and then travel the desert to get there. Mancha is like, that's dumb. Who would ever want to travel through the desert? And Dorkengo is like, all right, good idea. That's what we're doing, which happens a lot. Mancha is really jealous of Jaster in these next 2 chapters. But so then when you go to save, you get a call from Mark, and Mark tells Pistachio that Datron stole the tablet, but we're going to go stop them, and that he's having a blast and everyone's trying to do their best. And then we see Mio come in to Dr. Pistachio's office and brings him some data from the mainframe. Mio asks about Mark, and Pistachio says that they were childhood friends and that she's spying on Datron for Pistachio. So I guess she's not a robot?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I guess we all just assumed she was for reasons.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You didn't.
But I like Mio now. I like her a lot now.
Yeah. See, she's not like a cop. She's undercover.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that is where my notes ended. So Spiff, if you could take it away to cover up this super short 3 paragraphs of a chapter.
Yeah,
this episode.
yeah, not a lot happened in this chapter. So
Thank God.
First of all, there was one little joke earlier to 2 comments. First of all, when they first hear that they're going to Rosa, where is it? Oh yeah. What's Jar Jar's name?
Jupus
Tanaki.
Jupus Tuki.
Jupus Tuki.
Jupus Tuki. Jupus straight up says that Rosa sucks and is boring as hell, and Jaster doesn't even like react. He doesn't even say like, "Hey, that's my home planet, man." He's just like, yeah. Also, I think I really appreciate how positive everyone is in this game. Like anytime like you said earlier when Mark is like, "We're gonna do it." Anytime a challenge comes up, people are just like, "We got this." So they're like, "Oh, the bad guys took the tablet. We didn't get it. They're going to the ruins to do a terrible, dastardly deed." And they're all just like, "All right, let's go get them." And it's fun how they're all very confident. No one ever seems to express a lot of trepidation that they're going to succeed in their goal, which is really cute.
Which is like so pirate of them. Like that's such a like space pirate thing. Like it's just like
totally true.
You're just like, "Yahar, me mateys," and you go off and you punch everybody.
Yeah, so we're on Rosa, and we're going to try and go get the Zohar. And, of course, the first thing I do is instead of going in at the beginning of the game, we were in Salgan, some of the doors to exit the city were locked. One of them is now not locked. I checked the other 2. They're still locked. Because that goes to the dungeon. But, of course, the first thing I do is I'm like, I'm back home after having left. I'm going to go visit my adopted dad, Raul. And you talk to him, and there's not even a cutscene. He doesn't even say, "Hi, Jaster, it's good to see you again." He acts like you've been there the whole time. Literally, he just has a generic NPC dialogue where he's like, "The desert's really dangerous. Be careful." Not even like, "Hi, Jaster, good to see you. Also, now be careful in the desert." No, it's so funny. I'm like,
thanks, Dad.
So this game doing the thing that they do where they update NPC dialogue for whatever like portion of the game you're in, that's not what he said after you visited him in the first one. So this is updated. He's talking about the second desert you're crossing, not the one with the sandworms, but it's still just like updated NPC dialogue and not like a bonus scene to go and talk to your dad again.
It's so weird.
You're a JRPG protagonist whose parents or parental figures didn't die in the first cutscene. Like, you should get something to be able to talk to your parents again.
Well, even if it's not a cutscene, just the line should be like, "Oh, Jasher, good to see you again." But at any rate, so you go to the dungeon. It's outdoor, but so first of all, it's the first big outdoor area in the game.
Besides the jungle, but the jungle was hallways because of the trees.
Exactly. So mechanically, this is still hallways. The dunes are like tall and form invisible walls. But but you can see off into the distance, and it's really cool. So first, you're walking through these dunes. But then you round a corner, and pretty far in the distance, you see these big ruins, like these statues, like in the desert. And I was like, I honestly didn't know the game's draw distance was that long, because up until now it's mostly been hallways and skyboxes. So I was like, whoa! And the cool thing is, not only do you see some ruins nearby, but you see other ruins even farther away. And I thought maybe that's a skybox, but it's not. Anyway, you arrive at some ruins. I like how there's zero explanation. Like, there's not even like a quip. No one even quips like, we're in the ruins now, or, oh, we have to go through these ruins. You just go through the level, and it was desert, and now it's ruins.
Yeah, they mentioned when they were dropping the tablet off that they were dropping it in the ruins outside of town, but then weren't like the ruins of the fight with the Draxian Empire 100 years ago or anything. They were just like the ruins.
Yeah, so you get to the ruins.
It's just like a lover's leap type thing. Like, oh yeah, there's ruins outside of town. Everybody knows the ruins.
Yeah, so you get there, and you save, and there's a little town, and there's a couple of NPCs, because this game just loves putting NPCs wandering around in dangerous dungeons.
For real.
But one of the NPCs does say, he actually does mention the ruins, and he's like, hey, these ruins date back to the time when the universe was ruled by the Star King. And I'm like, ooh, that's a plot thing. Cool. We never heard of the Star King until now. So I wrote it Thanos, but now I remember that his name is Valkrog. Valkrog and the hot mom named Norma show up, and so this is like one of those things where you're still doing the dungeon. It's just a cutaway. They go, they're like, oh, phew, we didn't miss this historic moment. We were worried because that business contract, that's the scene we were just watching, took forever. God, we hate that guy. But luckily, we got out of that meeting in time, and now we can see this historic moment. And then you continue, and then they're like, all that money is finally paying off. So you go and you see where they put the tablet, and it's this huge ruinous area with this flat ground with just runes etched just everywhere, and they're super, super glowy. So you're like, that's ominous. So then there's a new character who might be a robot, but we've been wrong about a robot once before.
Right.
He's got this weird black and white mask. I think he's some kind of robo-assassin.
Yeah.
And Norma is like, they haven't finished his face yet. That's why he's wearing that mask. Do you want to take a look under the mask? And Valkrog's like, no, I'm good. He looks so creepy. So you continue with the dungeon. Finally, you arrive at the place where they are. And what happens is you like literally like peek around the corner, like the three of you peek around the corner to watch. And what you watch is there's another new character, Isel, who is just a generic looking scientist guy. He does have he's got weird, cute little flippy hair.
He reminds me of Professor Farnsworth in Futurama.
Yeah, he is kind of Farnsworthy. So he made the robot. He made the robot assassin thing. And he actually says, Norma's like, he's not quite done yet. And he's like, he's done. The aesthetics don't affect his abilities. And Norma's like, okay, but it's important to look your best. So then it turns out that they need three. It turns out that they activate the ruins, and instead of whatever they want to happen, instead these three pedestals show up that have symbols on them. And they obviously need the three key pieces to open up the magic thing.
Because it's a video game.
Yeah, it's a video game. So I was like, wait, I thought we already needed 6 tablets. Now we need 3 things. Whatever. So there's symbols floating like holograms. Lion, crab, and scales, like the kind of scales you use to wait. Apparently no one in this universe knows what a zodiac is.
No, of course not. When you live in the stars, you don't care what the stars are in alignment.
That's true. So they're like, oh, these must be the hints where the pieces are located. I'm like, yeah, and they're zodiac symbols. Come on, guys.
I kept saying that too.
So one thing that's neat is all the characters, the bad guys and the good guys, they're all befuddled by the hints. They're like, what does this mean? But Jaster just has like a little double take. They don't explain it, but he's just like, I think when he looks at the lion, he's like, wait a second, the lion. And then the plot moves on. So he has he knows something about this that we'll probably follow up on later. Then they notice you're there, and you fight the robot. The robot's name is Seed, which is a great dramatic anime name. The battle is cool. He jumps around all over the place. He jumps around as if it's like an action game. As if it's a more like you can't keep up with him the way that he is keeping up with himself. And every time he does a cool jumping move, it'll unlock on, which is annoying. But anyway, I didn't really have trouble with this boss. Did y'all have any trouble with it?
No, because you're supposed to lose.
I forgot. It's a forced loss. Never mind. That's why there's no trouble. So the funny thing is, it's a forced loss, but it's not super hard. And TBH, I thought I was doing fine.
Yeah.
Like he was hitting me a lot, and I was getting hurt, but I had a lot of heal items, so I probably had his health like a third of the way down. But once his health gets like a third of the way down, it goes into a cutscene where he defeats you, and I'm like it's usually. If you're supposed to lose, they make it like super, super duper hard, right? Like you get wrecked. But it wasn't actually, it was only like kind of hard. So like if the cutscene hadn't happened, I probably would have won. Anyway, it's funny.
And you're supposed to lose, but if you lose like right away, you still game over. I think it's one of those where like you're supposed to put up a
so
fight.
You have to get to like a third of the way through it or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so it's really just the health bar fakes you out, basically.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're like, oh, we're getting wrecked. What are we going to do? And the cool thing is they talk about how he's too fast, so they can't even run away because he would just like chase you down. Oh, here's who he reminds me of. He reminds me of from Star Wars, the Genndy Tartakovsky animated Star Wars Clone Wars. Who's that Sith lady?
I can't remember her name, but I know who you're talking about.
Well, I think she shows up in the CG. I think she showed up in the CG one too, but I haven't watched that.
Oh, Liliana Veth? No. Not that's a Warcraft person. But it's a Asajj of Interest. That's her name.
Yeah. So kind of reminds me of Asajj of Interest. You're like, what are we gonna do? And then who should show up but Desert Claw, who's definitely not Jaster's dad. So Desert Claw saves us. He does like a smoke bomb, and you run away. Then he's like, "You'll be safe here," and it's like we're just outside of the ruins.
For real?
Shouldn't we keep going? Like we just went like just off screen, and now we're like, we're safe. So anyway, there's a really funny scene here where Jaster is like, "Hey, you gave me your sword and your battle recorder on purpose so that they'd think I was you," and he's just like.
No.
Nah, I didn't. And then he's just like, well, bye.
I read it as more of like because Jaster says something instead of just because you thought I was you. He says something
I think
else.
He implies that. That was my notes.
and then Desert Claw is like, no, that's not the reason. Like, yes, I gave it so they would think I was you, but it's not because I didn't want to go on space or do this adventure or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. That is a little more loaded. Yeah, because what he says is he's like, you gave it to me because they were trying to find you.
Yeah,
is what he says. And so it's like maybe it's like no, I didn't just want to avoid them. I actually wanted to send you on your adventure because you're the chosen one and I'm your dad. Yeah. So anyway,
except I'm not your dad. I swear.
Anyway, he's like, well, bye. So that's it for this chapter. You get back on the Dorgenark, and they try to figure out the clues. And then Doggo, once again, Steve does not know
how to Google,
how to use his robot database to know things.
Well, it's probably because Mark is using it to look at porn. He's a teenage boy.
Yeah. Well, no. He's using it to watch Fortnite streams.
Yeah, that's what it is.
While dressed like the berries and cream guy in that fucking Starburst commercial. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I gotta say, okay, I love the twist with Mark, but after 3 cutscenes or so, I'm like. Okay, this isn't developing in any way. It's just we're going to have a call with Mark, and he says, hey, Dad, here's the latest plot point. And Dad's like, cool.
And you're going to keep me from saving when I want to save.
Yeah. Anyway, so Doggo knows what's up. He's like, these are the tombs of the ancient kings. And they're like, what? And he goes, long ago, there was a king on each of the 12 planets in the Wilherzer system, which apparently is where we are. Mm-hmm. The Vedanian king's crypt was decorated with the crab. They called him the Cancer King. Apparently, I do know what a zodiac is. It's in a sewer level. And the lion is a tomb on Jerica, and the scales is a tomb on Zerard. And I'm just like, how do you know all of this and nobody else knows any of this?
So
everyone is just dumb in this game.
Digo brings up the Vedanian ones then, and then that reminds Lilica.
True, yeah.
Lilica says the one about Jerica,
mm-hmm.
and
Jupus too. He talks about Zerard. Yeah,
the Zerard one's interesting. It's funny. The Cancer one is just like he just says. There's a tomb, let's go there. And then Lilica with Jerica is like, there's a tomb, let's go there. But Zerard gets all this backstory. So apparently there were twin princes, and their dad died, so they both had to be co-kings. But they were always fighting. I personally thought it was going to be like, oh, there was a civil war, but no, it's like they were fighting personally, like they didn't like each other.
Yeah.
So they were still co-kings, but they quarreled constantly, and eventually they never spoke to each other. So and then eventually they died. So turns out we've seen these many times. We saw these in like the opening cutscene of Zerard. It's in the skybox of Zerard. There's these two giant towers. And those are the Gladius or the Gladius towers, and those two twin towers. Those two towers commemorate them. So they're like, oh, well, that's, and I guess that those towers are not government buildings; they're like a giant tomb, which is interesting. Yeah, so it's like, okay, we're gonna go get the shit. Sam already looked a little bit just for the sake of knowing what we were going to be podcasting, and he said what he said confirmed what I suspected here, which is that the next one chapter is
all three things.
Here's 3 new dungeons. Go to all of them. Also, I don't know how I knew this, but for some reason I knew, like when we were in the previous chapter on Vedan, some weird part of me was just like, I think this is I was like, I feel like next we're going to go back to the planets we've already been to and do more dungeons there. Yeah. It's like I had some kind of intuitive sense of how much content the game was going to have.
Because gameplay wise, we get to pilot the Dorgenark for the first time when we're heading to Vedan, and you then see there are 5 places to choose from on the map, and one of them is a big empty space that will obviously be Eden when we go there at the end of the game, and there's not really room for anything else. Like, they might be able to fit like 1 or 2 more planets on us, but so far we're going back to the old ones, so I think we probably will go to the old ones, then go to Eden, and our final chapters will be on Eden. That's what it feels like, but this...
Something like that.
But yeah, this definitely is the start of Disc 2 here, and this is where the big chunk of like the game opening up starts. I guess it's more of a Disc 3 thing now that I'm thinking about it. But either who, because that's either who.
I like that.
So
that's good.
Yeah. So the fact that I'm using, I go to. I just Control F the chapter name on the fact, and then like read up above it a little bit to see what the ending of the chapter is, like what a boss fight is, so I can put in the notes where we're stopping. The first thing it says in chapter 8 is like, this chapter is most of the game. There's about 10 hours of content in this chapter, so we're only going to do chapter 8 next week. Like, it is...
And I gotta say, I love it. It's funny. This game is entering a long list of games that I love where you have a bunch of chapters and they are radically unequal in length.
Yeah, chapter 7 was 45 seconds, and this next one is 10 hours.
In Mother 3 is one of my favorite examples. Mother 3 has 8 chapters, and the first 6 chapters are setting up a conflict. The 7th chapter is an entire RPG adventure where you go and collect the 7 MacGuffin magical doodads. AKA the entire plot of most RPGs. That's chapter 7, and then chapter 8 is the climax. It's great.
Yeah.
This is the same kind of thing, except it's just 3 doodads instead of 7.
Yeah. So normally, if you were playing playing this RPG, you would have a choice in the order here to keep us on the same page in case we need to cut this next chapter into 2 episodes. If 10 hours is way too long and we only do a little bit, we're going to do them in the order that they said them in the thing. So we're going to go to the Cancer King, then we're going to do Lion King, then we're going to do Scales King. We're going to do them in that order, and because I feel the Scales one, since there's 2 towers, it might be super long, so it's good that one's the last one. So at the very least, we're going to do the first 2 next week. We're going to try and do all of them. I'll throw up an update on Twitter and Discord and stuff if we're going to do the whole thing. We'll also announce it in the middle of the episode. So if we're there and we're like, okay, we're now going to go and do this other thing, if you stopped after the first 2, pause it and we'll come back or whatever. But so we're going to do it in that order just in case we need to stop early. But yeah, I'm super excited. We've been recording for the longest we have for a Rogue Galaxy episode so far, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so that about
that's what happens when you have 1 million hours of cutscenes,
right?
And that about does it for the week. If you like what you hear and you want to help us cover hosting costs and game costs, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. You can also find merch for us at bit.ly/RPGmerch. We sell t-shirts, iPhone cases,
throw pillows, beach towels.
Yeah, all sorts of fun stuff. If you want to talk to us, we have a Twitter at RPG Book Club, an email at our rpgbookclub@gmail.com, and our favorite, our Discord, which doesn't have a catchy URL, so you can find the link in the description. Join us next week when we will play to the end of Chapter 8, Seeking for the Legend. For RPG Book Club, I've been Elias Sailor Eli, riddled with allergies, Warren.
I've been Sam Allman. I hope I don't end up with Eli's allergies. Allman.
And I've been Michael at Spiffle. My dog is being really whiny, so I need to go walk him. Wevin.
Toodaloo.
Bye.